Thank you, gentlemen. So welcome back. My name is Marija Mitić. I'm part of the ACA Secretariat team and also part of the ACA working group on the Western Balkans. Together with the ladies in the row and the gentlemen on the screen, who will be our speakers and presenters today. So what I will just do briefly now in my role is to let you know what we are going to have in the next session and why we are going to have what we are going to have. So as you will see in the program, we will first of all have 3 panelists who will give an overview of their organization's work in the Western Balkans. So all 3 organizations are part of the ACA family. And as I said, also part of the ACA working group on the Western Balkans. So they will give an overview, and then we will move on to thematic presentations. So each of our member organizations will give you a bit more detailed or angled view of what they are doing based on certain themes, and the themes that you see in the program were also selected on the basis of the feedback that we got from our partners in the region. Because in the preparation of this seminar and in the preparation of the program, we circulated a brief mapping, what we call mapping survey, to our national representatives, asking what kinds of topics would be of interest, what would be the themes or the topics that they would like to see featured in the program. So on the basis of this and our experience within the ACA framework, we basically selected the themes you will see. So in this session, you will hear 2 of them from Petra, who you already know, and then from colleague Ani Kallio from Finland. But first, we will start with an overview panel, so you will hear what is going on in Finland, Hungary, and Austria when it comes to cooperation with the Western Balkans. The only change from the program is that we will start with our colleague Marton, who was following partially the panel already, who was supposed to be the moderator, but as you have heard, he was prevented by a stronger force than himself. So due to bad weather, he was not able to join us physically. But Marton is here with us now on Skype, and he will present the work of his organization, Tempus Public Foundation in Hungary, in the Western Balkans. I would like to repeat, I think, what was already said at the beginning by Petra, that given the setup and given the really rationale of this seminar, we would like to encourage you to just ask questions or give comments whenever you have one. In this case, when we see you raise your hand, we will let Marto know that he can respond to whatever you will have to say. And each of the presentations in the panel then will be followed by, we will give time for a few questions as well. So I think with this, I will just give floor to Marton to briefly introduce himself and then to start with the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to still stay with you via Skype. And so, so unfortunate that I cannot be with you there personally. But it is a good opportunity to see myself on a large screen right now, although it would have been much better to see you. For the moment, I see only Sylvia, which is also perfect, but I do not have the interaction with the audience, so please, if you do not hear me or if you do not understand anything, just please raise your hands and the others and the colleagues will let me know. I'm just trying to share the screen with you, but now it has been working, of course, a minute ago.
It will take a bit of time.
But now I think you are going to see my slides.
Yes.
Are you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So it's much better than if you would have to see my face. Okay, so it is going to be a brief presentation of the activities what Tempus Public Foundation, the Hungarian and not the Serbian Tempus Foundation, is doing with the Western Balkans as itself or as an ACA member. Here on my opening scene, you can see a few, actually 2 pictures. This one on the upper side is from a conference that we have organized with the Western Balkans a few years ago, so there might be some known faces as well. And this one is our stand at the Sarajevo University Fair 2 years ago, where we participated, just as an introduction. So very shortly, just basic facts about our higher education system. Our first university has been established as early as in the 14th century. This is all history, but now we are in the present, so let's see what's going on right now. In our higher education system, we have 65 higher education institutions, and I have to tell you that most of the largest, but basically all the larger higher education institutions are internationally active. We have a small number of institutions that do not have the ACA charter or do not take part in international activities, but all the relevant ones and the larger ones are all active, at least taking part in mobility activities. So the student population right now is about 280,000 people or students, from which nearly 90% go to public higher education institutions, but some smaller proportions, 6 and 7% are going to church or private institutions. So as you can see here on the chart, there is a relatively high number of colleges as well that belong to the church or to the private sector. So some strategic aspects and priorities. We have since 4 years we have a national higher education strategy. Although we do not have a specific internationalization strategy, but the internationalization strategy is part of our higher education strategy. What we would like to reach is that we would like to have 20% of the graduates with an international learning experience, which is a partial study abroad, by a little bit later than figures by 2023. And we would like to increase the proportion or the number of foreign students to 40,000. If you recall that we have currently nearly 300,000 students in the system, it's relatively high proportion of students, and as we are going to see, we are going most probably to reach this goal. Of course, we are intending, or our higher education system intends to hire or to grow the better services for international students, but also for Hungarian students in modernizing, increasing the quality of learning and teaching and of the services offered for students. Especially on the international scheme, it means international classroom, internationalization at home, and intercultural skills. And what we are seeking for or trying to reach is a more thought over, more strategic global visibility. Therefore, we have a program, Study in Hungary program, and a separate unit in our agency that is focusing on our global visibility and student recruitment. But of course, there are challenges as well. And if I go back just for a second, our goal to reach 20% of the graduates with an international experience is 20% by 2023. Currently, or in the last year, we have been only at the level of 11%, which is a very good development concerning the starting points. But as you can see, we have a lot to do. And why is that? Because there are several identified obstacles of mobility, which is in Hungary mostly the recognition of credits. credit recognition, the language issue, and several financial aspects as well. For example, students working while learning and so on. But we are pioneers in implementing mobility windows, which is supposed to offer a solution for these hinderers. Quality development is still an issue. Internationalization at home is an issue. Resource management, so staff, trainers. In the current employment market, we have problems in recruiting well-skilled staffs at the higher education institutions, and implementing the strategic approach at the higher education institutions level are the main challenges that we have identified. But what is the current state of internationalizing higher education in Hungary, and what are the tools that we offer? So here we have identified, or we could mention 5 elements, such as the Campus Mundi program, which is a large tool financed from the European Social Fund in order to support outgoing credit mobility. Only students, and mostly for at least 1 semester of stay abroad, and it is in synergy with the Erasmus Plus program. Of course, you all know the Erasmus Plus program, which is, of course, one of the most important tools in order to internationalize our higher education and to increase mobility and the quality of learning and teaching. Stipendium Hungaricum program is a national scholarship program that offers exclusively incoming scholarships, full degree programs, and it supports the internationalization of our higher education. And then we have the bilateral state scholarships, which is smaller in volume, but strategically and with respect to diplomacy, it is also very, very important and interesting tool. And as I heard in the morning, and I hope that I heard well, the CIPUS program has been mentioned, the Central and Eastern European, or Southern European, we could call it as well, but officially the Central European exchange program for university studies that Sylvia is going to talk about is considered to be a very important tool for increasing our international presence. What is very important that all these programs are integrated and coordinated by our agency, Campus Public Foundation, and all of them are available for the Western Balkans relation with some respects. There is less in the bilateral state scholarships, but there are plenty of opportunities in the other programs. Some events and activities that we have been implementing with the Western Balkans. First, I would chronologically start with the ETSE Mundus project. That was an Erasmus Mundus promotion program realized or implemented with Slovakia and Austria, but coordinated by Campus Public Foundation. And one of the focal areas was promoting the program later on, the Erasmus Plus program as it started for the Western Balkans as well. So we have organized 5 contact seminars where we had a number of participants from the Western Balkans as well. And as a sustainability program of this, we are still organizing joint Erasmus Plus information days focusing on the international dimension, especially on the centralized programs with Austria and Slovakia. And from this year, the Czech Republic has also joined. So we were very happy to have just last week in Bratislava our Bosnian colleague with us presenting his country and Bosnia and Herzegovina's priorities. So we had also the Campus Hungary program. That was a large program of excellence focusing on internationalization. where we tried to build networks with not only the Western Balkans, but what it was amongst them. So in the framework of this, we have organized a conference in Szeged with the Western Balkans. Some of you have also been there, I think. Some university fairs where we are taking part and trying to promote Hungarian higher education and higher education institutions. And we, in cooperation with our Ministry of Human Capacities, we are implementing the European higher education area reform projects, where we also cooperate with partner countries. So here I would mention that we have been sending around to Europe as well an invitation for a seminar or a peer learning activity focusing on credit recognition with partner countries, with non-European countries. It is going to be at the end of November, so if you have received, or I hope you have received, you should have received the invitations, but if you hear or feel like hearing about it right away, and if you are interested to take part, please let me or let us know. There are still places. We believe it's a very interesting topic. Okay, I see I do not have much time. I will show you just some data and details about the programs. So I was talking about the Stipendium Hungary program, which is a very quickly developing program with now 65 sending partners, including all the countries from the Western Balkans, and it offers full degree studies and scholarships for incoming students. Here is what it is offered. It's tuition-free education. There is a monthly stipend, rather moderate, but still acceptable. It offers accommodation or contribution to accommodation, services, networking, and events for incoming students. And here you can see that by now the number of enrolled scholarship holders is more than 5,000 students, which is really a high number. And as a cumulative number, I can tell you that now, currently in the past academic year, we have more than 32,000 international students taking part in mostly in courses offered in English or other foreign languages. So this program has really a strong impact on the internationalization of higher education institutions as well. Here I have the figures from the Western Balkans as well. In the current academic year, we have nearly 160 students from the Western Balkans, most of them being from Kosovo, but a high number of students from other Western Balkans countries as well. And we have usually much more applicants than the quotas would allow. So the bilateral state scholarship, as I mentioned, it's usually small scholarship schemes. Here we have contacts with Albania and Macedonia, Fyrom. Summer courses, research activities, and partial studies. We have words about the Campus Mundi project. As I mentioned, it offers exclusively outgoing scholarships in the full amount for 6 years of nearly 30 million euros, 28 million euros, which would allow nearly 7,000 students to go out for studies or placements or traineeships. But it has an element to support internationalization and to build international alumni networks. So we have contacts in that field in the Western Balkans as well. And therefore I'm also happy that the representatives of the alumni associations are also present that are eminent right now. So welcome them as well. It is, on the other side, a bit surprising that we have room for growth, and we have room for offering outgoing scholarships to the Western Balkans. As you can see here, the figures are not very high. We could send much more students to the Western Balkans as well. We believe that it's a big issue of promotion and some priorities of the students, but we are committed to change this. And if you have any ideas how to promote your country, we would strongly welcome them. Okay, really just a few slides about the international credit mobility component of the Erasmus Plus program. A few statistics. As you could see, we can more or less spend or at least have contracts for the budget we have. The Hungarian NA budget is nearly 700,000 euros, and we can mostly offer grants for that, while the needs are still higher than the budget would allow, which is, I think, a good thing. That you do not have to seek for partners. But as it was discussed in the morning session as well, we see that Serbia becoming the program country, of course, it is a very positive development, but raises questions in terms of budget absorption. As you could see, more than the half of the budget from the IPA envelope goes to Serbia from Hungary. So we would really like to think about the opportunities, how to offer more scholarships from and to the other remaining partner countries from the Western Balkans. And last but not least, the Central European Exchange Program, CEPUS program, which we consider to be a very interesting and a very good tool to build partnerships, because it's an easy scholarship framework with easy application process, and as it is working in networks, we can usually fulfill the goal that we have. So you can see there that in proportion of the Hungarian students, or the foreign students coming into Hungary, about 20-22% of the incoming students are coming from your region, and the outgoing quotas are not much different, somewhat smaller, of course, but still it is working much better than, for example, the Campus Mundi program. So I think this is more or less what I intended to tell you about our activities, but the main goal is to talk about the future, how we can cooperate, how we can still find other points of interest where we can cooperate with you, where we can go further, either with program countries, either or partner countries. So once again, thank you very much for making me, or offering me the possibility to join you via Skype. Like I'm visible again, but this is all what I intended to tell you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Martin, and thank you for actually persisting to stay with us despite the challenges. Thank you very much. So not to steal the time, I would like to invite you and encourage you to comment or to ask Martin while he's still with us here. If you have any comments or any questions for him. Then I would have a question, but not for Martin, but for you. If somebody would volunteer, I would actually be interested about CEPUS. We will talk a bit later, and it was already mentioned. But I was just wondering if any of you would comment on the experiences, if any, with other programs that Martin mentioned. So we've heard about Campus Mundi or Stipendium Hungaricum. So have you had experiences? If so, what are they? So it refers to the higher education institutions represented here, or also to our national representatives, colleagues? Because in different countries this is differently managed, right? And there are different contact points, I assume. Yeah. No, I see no reaction.
Okay.
Yeah, was there? Okay, so we have the colleague from the WEBA, from the Alumni Association.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm not good with microphones. Hello, me again. I'm Savahudi Mukic from WEBA. My current issue, because we are not too much, barely know about that. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Marto, can you hear?
Not really, sorry.
Maybe just put it
There is not much promotion about the stipend that you are saying about the Stipendium Hungaricum and the other Campus Mundi in the Bosnia, for example, because I'm come from Bosnia, I don't know about the Serbia, so that's the main reason the numbers are really low. But do you have any, let's say, plan how to promote even more this stipend to the students to increase even more mobility to Hungary? Thank you.
Martin, you have heard the question, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I think I heard it properly. So the question is, what are our plans to promote the actions depending on the Campus Mundi? Excellent question, I think. Well, for the Stipendium Hungaricum, it works with the cooperation of the ministries in the region. So the sending partners are the ministries, which of course doesn't mean that they would have to promote the action solely. So we are cooperating with them, and I think where we would have more room to go is fairs and seminars such as this one, seminars at higher education institutions where our students and also staff with respect to other programs could meet and discuss partnership opportunities. So I think this is the room where we could or where we should go on. But we very much rely on the ministries that are the signing partners of the agreements with our government. So they have a lot to do also in this year in order to promote and to select or to pre-select, nominate the students. As for Campus Mundi, as I mentioned, it is an outgoing scholarship framework. So here we need to promote the program inside the country, inside Hungary, which is really a challenging one. Now we have actually much more funding than we could spend and we can spend, and we are one of the issues is that, as I mentioned, credit recognition and language knowledge and finances. So we are trying to target these issues. We are now trying to cooperate more with teachers, because very often the unsuccessful credit recognition goes back to the teachers. Unfortunately, this is what we identified. So now we have one of our targets to focus on teachers and to explain them that they are not going to lose their students if they go or don't come back enriched. Okay. So I don't know if that answered your questions, but we are also relying on our alumni network as well. So our communication department has strong activities with the alumni. That's the animation.
Okay, if I may just, we have more, this will be just a brief comment to relate to what was said now and what was said before. Maybe this is, to throw the ball, maybe this is also an idea how actually ACA could work not only with the national representatives, but also with the Alumni Association. Because from all I know, when the association was being established, the idea was not to involve only EU alumni in the association, but also all students who had some experience abroad, which would then include also national programs, opportunities and the experiences that students have had through other tools and programs. So I think maybe this is something to consider when promoting or when planning to promote programs that are not so visible in the region. So just a thought. But we have a question or a comment? Yeah, from Alexander. Yes.
Good afternoon to our colleague from Hungary. I'm Alexander from the Macedonian National Agency for Erasmus Plus. I have questions, two
If
questions.
you can just put the mic closer because...
I have two questions to our colleague from Hungary. I seen some details from your presentations, from your presentation that you have statistics regarding outgoing and incoming of the mobilities. Are these mobilities for students, according to the Western Balkan countries, are from the Erasmus Plus or from the other also programs regarding higher education? And also, I have a question: how close is your cooperation with the National Agency of Hungary? You have close cooperation regarding students' mobilities, placements, also partnerships in the field of strategic partnerships, key action 2 of the Erasmus Plus. How is your cooperation also with the executive agency in Brussels regarding centralized actions, etc.? Thank you.
I'm sorry, can someone who's sitting close, can someone repeat the question?
Both of them. So the first question was whether the statistics that you showed were only from the Erasmus Plus program or from other programs, right? Mobility. And the second one was, if I understood well, what is the cooperation with the Commission's executive agency in Brussels, ACA?
And the national agency also from Hungary.
They are the national agency. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so the statistics, the ICM statistics, maybe I can show it to you once again, very quickly. There were some statistics from the Erasmus Plus program. So these were the slides that contained the international credit mobility of the Erasmus Plus program. It contains the funding, so the amount in euros that we have granted in this year for the Western Balkans. The relation fixed number, which is about, I do not have now the exact figures, which is about 300 persons going in and out in these mobility. Okay, so I hope it answered the question. Second question is, what is the cooperation like with the executive agency in Brussels? As we are the Erasmus Plus national agency, maybe articulated it more directly by the national agency. Of course, we are cooperating with them in the decentralized actions as well, but also with the centralized actions. As I mentioned, for example, the promotion seminars that we organize, we are always inviting them. We are taking part in basically all the Erasmus Plus working groups where the executive agency is present. To be honest, with the centralized actions, it is not always very easy, because we might lack some information that the executive agency have, but they, for example, like actual data on the applications in capacity building or in Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees, they are kind of allowed to share for data security reasons and so on. So the framework is more or less working, but there are some hindrances sometimes. But of course, in general, the executive agency are the source of information, of course. And further on with the commission as well, we have good relationship.
One brief.
Answers your question.
Alexander has one brief
I have
comment
one brief
or
question. Do you have any kind of activities and promotions regarding centralized actions? And what kind of activities do you manage to develop for the centralized activities through Hungary? Because for this year and from the previous year, we started with promotion of centralized actions, because for a reason that, for example, for capacity building, we didn't have yet applications from our country directly at the executive agency. So this is quite an advice. What kind of promotional activities do you manage to promote in this period for the centralized actions, and in which way? Thank you.
So Martin, you heard the question, right? Or should I repeat?
No, I think I understand. understood. So it was how do we promote the decentralized actions? Is that the question? Or?
Do you, and if so, how? Yes. How do you do that? Yes.
Yes. Well, it is of course a difficult task, but what we do is that because these are projects that are usually bottom up, that are built bottom up. So again, we try to reach university staff and especially teaching staff at the universities, which more or less requires direct contact. So one of our activities is to gather contacts from universities, which is in the age of GDPR. It's not an easy issue. So we have, for example, organizing this spring a large conference focusing on the activities of teaching staff in the European programs and in internationalization. We had around, I think, 160 participants, which is a large number for Hungary. So this is where we try to get in touch with teaching staff. And we try, but of course here the question is human resources and resources in general. We try to conduct consultations with applicants. So we offer consultations, we try to guide them how to create applications. We are organizing seminars and information days. But it's not much about promotion gadgets or brochures and leaflets, but direct contact and consultations with them. And of course, we very much rely on the National Erasmus Plus offices because we are trying to be as close as possible with them so that we see the national priority and the development. And we are also very grateful for them. They can help us in this matter.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you for the questions. I think we have to stop now. So thanks again. You will stay with us. If you see that the connection is not working well, you will just leave us quietly as we agreed. Thank you again. From Hungary, we move to Finland, go a bit up. So our colleague Sini People from EDUFI, from the Finnish National Agency, will now give you an overview of how they work with the region, or how they would also work with the region in the future. So Sini?
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well. So I'm Sini People. I'm from the Finnish National Agency for Education. So also acting as the National Agency for Erasmus Plus program in Finland. I'm the international contact point for Erasmus Plus program, and I've had the privilege in working with the NEOs in the region and get to know them a little bit, especially in Brussels. And I'm very excited to be in Montenegro, and meet all of you. So I'm very glad to be here. And what I wanted to do in this session, it's a little bit slightly different approach than Marton's. Just hopefully in 10 minutes to provide a perspective of a country with not traditionally very close ties between the higher education institutions of Finland and the Western Balkans. And in that, I'm focusing on Erasmus Plus from 2015 onwards. What has been the challenges and what have been the activities and maybe also the results. Let me see if I can. So, as I mentioned, we have no traditionally close ties. Maybe in some study fields, of course, it hasn't been non-existent, the higher education collaboration between Finland and Western Balkan countries, but still not so much as with many other countries. And the incentive has actually very much been the Erasmus Plus funds that were then available from 2015 onwards. And as you know, 20% of the, for example, international credit mobility funds is focused or allocated for the Western Balkans. And in Finland, that means around 550,000 euros annually that we then allocate through the call of international credit mobility. And in the first call in 2015, we actually encountered challenges in absorbing this budget with the Western Balkans. So there were not enough applications to really allocate this funding in full. And then we try to figure out what to do with this issue. So we organized a Kontakt seminar in the region with Nordic and Baltic NA colleagues, and of course with the NEOs hosting us. So it took place in Belgrade and in Pristina, and covered the 5 countries under the Western Balkan IPA instrument in Erasmus+. And what we wanted to do there is of course to bring the higher education institutions together to get to know each other and to recognize the common interests and possible projects. But also we had the Commission representatives that you can see here, Ms. Helena Skikos, speaking here in this picture in Belgrade, actually, and then we also involved the embassies and the local ministries. And I think that it's very important to have the different levels together. As it was mentioned already in the panel discussion this morning, we really need also the political support for all these activities. We need that, for example, our embassy of Finland is aware of these possibilities and can really promote and support the collaboration on different levels. So we had Kontakt seminar parts and then campus visits. Campus visits is of course simple but very effective way, so that once the colleague from, let's say from Finland, has visited the university locally, then it's completely different to start the collaboration from there. And of course all the receptions and making, meeting the colleagues, that's enormously important also here today. I know that the Commission has been organizing also these Kontakt seminars and will continue to do that, but I still wanted to raise this event here as a one activity that we initiated then after the 2015. Then I just show 4 slides about the statistics to show you the picture of what was the number of student mobilities before the Erasmus Plus allocation or the funding was made available, and then what has happened after that. So here you can see these are relatively low numbers. As you can see, outgoing and incoming from Finland, of course. And in total, we annually have around 10,000 students outgoing and incoming all together, and here's the share of the Western Balkan countries. And as we have been discussing a lot about Serbia becoming a program country, I just wanted to highlight here. These are the same figures, but just in 2 separate tables, outgoing and incoming, and the light blue is here Serbia. So as you can, from these figures, you can see that the majority of these mobilities have been with Serbia. But then I also have the numbers. These are the real figures, so the mobilities that actually have taken place, and only the student mobilities. So these are until 2017, and you can see in 2017 some higher numbers. That is hopefully then from Erasmus+. And here is the Erasmus Plus International Credit Mobility selected mobilities in the project. So not the actual mobilities that took place already, but the ones that were selected from Finland. And here you can see actually more variety in the countries, and the share of Serbia is not so dominant anymore in these figures. And the number of mobilities is higher each year. So we are happy with this development, and of course the number of we have all the countries here represented, and the number of institutions also is higher. And here I just wanted to highlight the number of selected projects with the Western Balkan countries. That is also higher now when we have been promoting this area and discussing, and after the Kontakt seminar maybe. That has an effect as well, and more Finnish higher education institutions are now involved in this project with Western Balkans. I also wanted to mention, of course, different cooperation projects, and here the capacity building projects. I know that 2 of them are, well, I would argue a direct result of the Kontakt seminar, the ones with Kosovo and the health sciences. There were colleagues visiting this Kontakt seminar, and then these projects emerged. There are also other projects going on, and I wanted to mention a twinning project. It was run by Omnia, a vet institution from Finland, but as this is also one funding instrument that we could look into in the future, I just wanted to raise that because we also met with the colleagues in Kosovo at the time and discussed about the future opportunities through the twinning instrument. So actually, I just wanted to end already with this slide. I know that we will be discussing at the end of this seminar about the future collaboration, and we also in the morning the colleagues already mentioned many possible areas for collaboration. But of course, I would like to raise 3 areas. So quality assurance with this, as there, at least with Finland, there are so many new partnerships that have emerged. There's a lot of need to support the quality assurance because with new partnerships there might be challenges on different levels, and this could be done, for example, by monitoring visits, joint monitoring visits, or joint events, different activities. Then, of course, it's absolutely essential to continue to support the networking between the higher education institutions through, for example, Kontakt seminars. And also the closer collaboration between national structures that we are discussing, especially here today, joint projects and initiatives. And I just wanted to mention the twinning or TAIEX funding, because this is something that we have been discussing with our twinning expert at the ministry, because this could be also something that we could look into, that the national structures could take part and then continue from there, or the TAIEX visits. Twinning projects are, of course, very, very large projects, and TAIEX maybe a lighter version then. But these are just a few thoughts from Finland now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sini. This is a good ending, actually, to start the discussion, which we will not have time to do so much now, but a bit later. But still, I would like to just ask if you have any questions or comments to Sini's presentation, or the ideas that she ended the presentation with. No, I think it would be very briefly before I give the floor to Silvia. But I think what you were saying with the experiences with Erasmus Plus and ICM, and then the need to also raise the visibility or knowledge of the region from your side. I mean, Finland is also a very specific case in the sense of its own fame when it comes to education. In not having historic ties with the country or the region necessarily, but I think it's what also is very important in the framework of ACA is that we do have members who are very interested in the region or have the funds, but are perhaps not as visible as Finland in being an attractive maybe study destination. So I think this is something that we within the ACA framework and our working group are also considering a lot, and this is where we are now learning how to bring them together, our members who are less known to the region, and then make the connections. It was just a comment from the ACA perspective as the network and the association. If there are no questions or comments, then we will move to Austria, to Silvia Riegler from the ÖAD, from the Austrian National Agency. And the keyword would be CEPUS, which we will hear about later on. But you will now give us first an overview of your cooperation with the region, which already has very strong ties, historically speaking. So please.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here today. I'm Silvia. I'm from the Austrian Exchange Service Agency. In English, it's Austrian Agency for International Cooperation in Education and Research. I am not part of the national agency, though the national agency is a part of OED, but I'm somewhere else. And I think the idea to get me in this working group was also to get a little bit of a different approach again. So I will mention Erasmus Plus as well, but it's not really my field. First, as an introduction, I would like to show you my company. Our tasks are that we support mobility of more than 16,000 Austrian pupils, appreciates and students and teachers and lecturers and researchers, and enable cooperation between science, school and society. We offer service for more than 2,000 international scholarship holders and students in Austria each year. We administer approximately 1,550 international cooperation projects together with our stakeholders. And we provide information that is with our websites, publications and our databases. And also we have seminars, we go to institutions, and we do a lot of just getting together and informing people. Some other things we do is that we provide advice regarding all questions of education and mobility. We get a lot of questions, of course, from students who come to Austria and about studying in Austria. That's why recently we made a film about how to study in Austria. And I think the slides will be shared afterwards. And on the first slide there was the YouTube link. It's been done very recently. We're really proud of it. What we also do is we cross-link more than 80,000 actors in education, science and research. And we support developments and strategies in education with our information tools. And we work with funds of nearly 50 million euros per year. The organization was established in 1961, and since 2009 it's GmbH. And you might know our Director General, Dr. Stefan Zotti, was also ACA member. And now I'm gonna show you a little bit of the work we do regarding scholarships we have and other tasks. A big topic for us is incoming mobility, and there I would just like to explain the first and the last one. That would be, the first one is the Ernst Mach grant. For 4 to 9 months we invite people from all over the world to apply for a scholarship and do their research here, but they have to be graduates already. So mainly we get a lot of applications from PhD students who want to come to Austria for doing research for the thesis. That's one of our bigger programs, except for CEPUS. And the last one is also especially interesting for the Western Balkans, because it's for those who suffered from the NS regime and the descendants, and people from the region are especially invited to apply. And one program that is not on the slide now would be a program just for Kosovo, where students can apply for a PhD in Austria or a postdoc or research in this field. And we now have several students here doing their PhD research, and there's going to be a second call soon. Then we also have outgoing mobility, which also Western Balkans are very strong partners. Marietta Blau grant is again for PhD students, but we have very many people going for an internship in German as a foreign language to the Western Balkans, and the lectureship. We have different places of lecturers all across the world, but also especially in the Western Balkans. And the one that has already been mentioned is an incoming and outgoing program, which is CEPUS. Then we have international cooperations. Again, very strong in the Western Balkans is the scientific and technological cooperation. There we mainly fund joint research projects, and it's roughly 300, less than 300 projects each year. Also, the bilateral Aktionen, they are with Hungary, Czech Republic and Slovakia, and there are different schemes like scholarships for graduates, for undergraduates, postdocs, lecturers, and also projects again. Then the national agency is part of the OED, and you know what they're doing. And I just have one slide, especially this key action 107. There we have quite something going on with the Western Balkans, because as you know, the Western Balkans are the biggest pot right now, and for Austria that means that 650,000 euro each year are provided for the Western Balkans, and that means 200 mobilities for teachers and students in numbers. And the Western Balkans are also among the strongest countries with which we do exchange, whereas Serbia is again the biggest one. Biggest numbers, it's around 70 mobilities each year. We have education and research for international development corporations. One program would be APPEAR and KEF. Public science, that's on a national level, but I just wanted to mention it because it's cooperation between science and school. And sometimes there are also researchers from the region involved. We also do quality development and transparency. And we do have a housing office. That means it's a subsidiary of the OED GmbH. And we have 12 guest houses in Austria. All over Austria, so students and teachers coming from abroad find a place to stay, and it's made easier for them the communication, and they don't have to search for rooms on their own. One other part of my company is Innovation Foundation for Education. That's been established very recently in 2017. And like I mentioned, we provide services especially for information in higher education marketing and UXs. We have a grants database and a testing center. Europass is one of our tasks. And also we have regional offices in the university cities where the students and teachers coming from abroad can go directly, seek advice, get their scholarship, and they help with everyday struggles. Some other things we do is the policy support. You might know those already. And I'm already at the end of the slideshow. And here's again our contact. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Ilya, thank you very much. Thank you for the wealth of information. I would just like to repeat what you said at the beginning of your presentation, that all the slides and all the presentations will be shared after the seminar. So all of this you will have later on because it contains a lot of useful information, I believe. We have time for one question or comment from your side, if you have any. No? Yes? Comment? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on when I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking that, okay, we are focusing only on numbers, and that's maybe very technical, but still, okay, that's also the business that we are in, but still, I just wanted to, I don't know, just to comment that, of course, we are aware that through these people who know each other's countries very well, then the future looks very different, and there are the thinking from out of the box, so there is, of course, there are values behind this, and now we are focusing only on numbers, but that is what we do at the moment with the funding instruments. I don't know. This is just my brief comment.
Yes, we have a question, a comment.
Yes, thank you for your presentations. Indeed, we have heard a lot of numbers, and I was wondering, do you see a different impact in the different programs? Because we have heard something about the differences between the programs, but does one program have another type of impact than the other one? This is basically a question for both of you.
That's a very interesting question. I think they do have a different impact depending on so many factors, like who established these programs, who came up with the idea, and this individual exchange, maybe this classical Erasmus exchange is beneficial for this individual person more than on an institutional level, but you can't say that in general as well. And yeah, I think that time is also time also matters. How long the exchange is done, where the funds are coming from. I think, yeah, they're very different.
Do you have any? Okay, I thought we would collect the comments from it. We had no other comments. Yeah, sure.
No, I wanted to comment on the numbers only. I mean, in a sense, the numbers matter, because if you have high quality but not a single mobile person, you know what I mean. And thank you. Anyway, I was also, thinking of a conversation I had with a colleague from Macedonia in the coffee break, and I said that it had always been my belief, and based on observation, that mass movement of people in a positive sense destabilizes systems or makes them less rigorous. So if one or two people study abroad and there's no recognition, then this is seen as a pity for the person. If suddenly hundreds of thousands, not in the case of a small country, but or at least tens of thousands move, then it becomes a system problem. And the people say, we need to do something about it. So I must say that because I love numbers. Perhaps, especially number 5, by the way. I recommend number 5.
I would like a question.
Okay, we have one final comment.
No, I need a question.
A question.
I am trying to understand how the system works, because in Greece, for example, or other countries, we have the Erasmus Plus program, and we distribute the money to all the universities, and the universities individually have the exchange program with all these countries, the European countries, and of course the Balkan countries. Is this system the same or similar in Finland and Austria, or you can have a separate bilateral program with various countries or the Balkan countries? Or what you're talking about is within the main Erasmus Plus program that is similar to the Greek one?
Yes, the system is same in Finland, so that in international credit mobility, the Finnish institutions then apply the funding and it's linked to a certain country, and the funding is available from the IPA budget for the Western Balkans.
So theoretically, I should have a presentation here, a colleague of mine, to present all the programs we have for students and professors and things like that from the Western Balkan area, or it's something different?
No, the European programs, I mean, well, this one in particular, it started with student mobility.
So what you doing here is that you collect all the programs that you have with
no, but you
something like that?
You have organizations, I mean, or ACA members, for example, take the DRD, where Erasmus Plus is important, but perhaps a fifth of the whole business of all mobile people. So where the national programs outnumber the European ones in terms anyway of mobile people or whatever is being funded. So you, and I think the national agency has a prescribed modus operandi. I mean, there's few rules, but some rules like this decentralization of selection decision to universities. Give them the money, let them select their students. Which was revolutionary at the beginning. Now everyone thinks it's a standard thing, but in systems like Fulbright or so, I mean, this is a revolution not to have interviewed the candidate and compared him to the 200 others whom you've interviewed or God knows what. So, but you have the organizations themselves are quite mixed in their profile. The national agency part is the same everywhere. Not with the NEOs yet, because you have to be what they refer to as a program country first, and then you become an agency.
Maybe just a brief comment. We don't really have so much time, but maybe just a brief comment from the perspective of the working group to your comment about presenting programs. Different countries have different funding opportunities apart from Erasmus+. But what we are doing here as the working group, this is also, I think Bernd said this last evening, this is also an expression of interest. So not only what is going on and sharing numbers, but I think one of the values we share within ACA is expressing the interest in working with the region, and even though in some countries cooperation is very strong, there's interest for enhancing it. In those that are not perhaps historically or geographically that much tied to the region, this is an expression of really wanting to establish or much, much more improve it. So this is why we are sharing what is going on, but also, you know, trying to see how we can mutually enhance this. So in both directions. So this is why, yeah, we are sharing different aspects of cooperation opportunities or funding opportunities for the region and the mutual cooperation. But I will stop myself because we have good and bad news. The bad news is that Petra Bevek from CMEPIUS will need to leave us at around 1. The good news for you is that this means that her presentation that will just start in a few seconds will actually have to end by then, and including also the questions and the comments. So without further ado, I give the floor to Petra, and we start counting the time.
Okay. Like Maria already said, unfortunately I have to leave. There's only one flight connecting Ljubljana and Podgorica, and it leaves at 3:30. So, but I will try to be brief, mainly interesting, because now we shall go from numbers to context, to quality and to context. My task today, is to present to you our 2 European higher education area projects we've had from 2015 up to now, and the outcomes and mainly the impact it has had on our country, on our higher education institutions, and on our national agency. So, of course, the principal goals of the both projects was to enhance and to also to contribute to the European policies, goals and priorities in higher education. But in the context of our agency and in the context of higher education, what was our goal? To start thinking strategically. To start thinking with, not from the point of view of the national agency, which we are used to, but then to include higher education institutions and at the same time ministries and other funding organizations, other institutions involved in the process of internationalization. And at the same time, we wanted to change the focus from mobility, from talking about numbers, and start talking about the quality of teaching, about changing the mindset of the internationalization at home, and of course about the learning outcomes. So the main 5 in the first ACA project, main 5 areas were mobility, and then we included also quality in the area of research and cooperation development. Promotion, we wanted to define on a national level our priority regions and our priority countries, and not just to leave it with areas and objectives. We wanted to ensure there would be monitoring. We wanted to make sure there would be follow-up. So what we did, together with the Ministry of Education, we set 25 objectives within all the 5 priority regions, areas, and at the same time, the ministry and the remaining institutions already presented possible funding. So at the presentation in April 2016, what we did a presentation of the strategy, and we already prepared all the numbers so that all higher education institutions, well, they couldn't say, well, I'm sorry, so where's the funding? You know, the most frequent questions, where's the money? So here's the money, here's how you can do it, we're here to help. So this was the procedure and what we wanted to do. Maybe just to give you a brief insight of the main areas. In regards to mobility, we wanted to do the shift in the mindset, going from numbers, speaking about quality. So yes, we were interested in discussing outbound, inbound mobility. We were interested in talking and discussing and making importance about different kinds of mobility, not only student and teacher, but also academic staff, also administrative staff, what was emphasized before. The importance is that everybody gets included. If you only get a certain target group, not the entire institution can be aware of the importance of internationalization. We wanted to not only to start thinking, but to start talking about quality. What does it mean to offer quality internationalization, not only to mobile students, but to those who remain at home? In Slovenia, we do have wonderful numbers. The University of Ljubljana is one of the most successful universities in regards to receiving students that are mobile. But we have a large percentage of non-mobile students. We have a large percentage of students that will remain non-mobile. It is in our interest to get internationalization and to emphasize the importance of it also to them. And in this context, the discussion went further on in regards to integration. In the beginning of the panel, it was already mentioned that its programs in English are of crucial importance. In Slovenia, there is a very big focus on the Slovenian language. We are a very small nation. We like to protect our language. So the academia is not keen on opening higher education area to English. So we do have certain programs in bachelor, more on master, and of course everything on PhD in English. But how to include incoming students into the classroom, not only offering them individual consultations or working with it separately. So it's important to talk about also that one. We did add the quality of research and cooperation development into the strategy because at that point our ministry, well, the Department for Science did not have their internationalization strategy, so some aspects were emphasized, especially within the frames of cooperation and mobility. And of course, one of the main focuses was on intercultural competencies. we wanted to start thinking, we wanted to start talking, we wanted to start to debating and acknowledging that students, the thing that is written in the learning agreement and in the training agreement should also be included in other aspects of the regular day-to-day basic teaching process. So curriculum, learning outcomes. Within this area, we also addressed the removal of administrative barriers for joint degrees and for multiple degrees. And actually this was successful, so we're very proud of that one. It still takes time, but it's better. But the thing that was, one of the things that was most interesting, especially discussing with the universities, was priority regions. The Western Balkans was easy. So defining this region was very easy for us. But then discussing about the rest of the world, it was like, well, anywhere. I mean, we would like to welcome people from anywhere, but of course, you know what that means. Language barriers, cultural barriers, thinking about when, how, and how to promote at the same time. So it was a process we started thinking in a different level, and of course it merged, it made us communicate more. And we wanted to promote Slovenia as a study destination. We started with study in Slovenia. I will explain a bit more, but the thing was that we were so keen and we were thought, but nobody knew where Slovenia was. I mean, okay, the neighbor, Italy, sometimes they don't know where we are. So, I mean, Slovenia, yeah, I don't want to go there. Slovenia, Slovakia, that's very near, isn't it? So we started mapping. We started with basic principles of mapping Slovenia, putting it on the map, not only for Europe, but also for everybody abroad. And like I've said, within the initiative of studying Slovenia, we wanted to follow up, monitor, and promote what has been done. We have realized, probably like all of the countries that are welcoming us here today, that not much is known about the quality of higher education we offer. Many people that learn about, for example, higher education in Slovenia are surprised, of course, about the prices of higher education. So we then suddenly fall into, oh, so you're cheap? Does that mean that your education is worse? Well, no, just the prices are different. And of course, the quality is very high, but in regards to ranking, so, I mean, we try, but it's very hard to compete if you're a small country. And these were all the aspects we wanted to include in the strategy. So, I'm doing several things at the same time. The results. Not only that the strategy was published, it's in the PowerPoint, so if anybody is interested later on, you can click on it, go through it. Also, we have an action plan, so you can review everything. But the main results from the as a national agency point of view was we started to talking a lot. We started talking a lot with the ministries. We started cooperating with different funding organizations. We started talking about how to, when to. We started talking about with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We did talk with them before, but now with the K107, with ICM, the borders have opened. Now it was time to merge all the strategies together. So if there is, for example, a priority for India, but we have an embassy in India which does not welcome, so how does this work? We have to work in sync. And this is one thing that, for example, the preparation of the strategy was very useful for us. We were able to identify what are our problem areas, and we're still working on them. This is an ongoing project. For the national agency, it meant clearly redefining and thinking about synergies between programs. So we have numerous programs that we coordinate at our agency. It was about time to start thinking about target groups. So how to merge target groups and give them a unified information. We coordinate Erasmus+, we have the CIPUS, we have bilateral agreements. Of course, from there on, we have study in Slovenia, and of course, Euraccess. These all address foreign individuals that have an interest in one way or another to come to Slovenia, either to study, research, or maybe also to work. So this was a perfect opportunity for us to discuss about the common points of all of these programs and how to address the topics, the problems, and the opportunities for all of them, giving for the first time in the history of Slovenia, a common message and getting all the information to one entry point. So this was a very important thing for us. And what has happened, and which I'm very proud of, all of the higher education institutions, the universities, we have also representatives from the individual and private universities, work together. We work with them, we meet with them 5 to 6 times per year. We go together to events, on fairs, conferences, and we all work together. So the University of Ljubljana, University of Maribor, they have to agree not only on the location, but on how to use our joint trademark, Study in Slovenia. So all of a sudden, everybody needs to appear in a Study in Slovenia apparel. So everybody is in blue. Everybody has these pins. We use them very much. And now, actually, everybody has agreed that maybe in the Western Balkans, when we are well known, in Belgrade, they know about University of Ljubljana, they know about University of Maribor. But in India, they don't care. They see Slovenia only after they see individual institutions. So it's important to have a joint starting point. And of course, from there on, and from the previous slides, okay, no, yeah, here, I've highlighted the most important words, and from there on, the second ACA project was born, Internationalization at Home, Learning Outcomes and Quality of Teaching in Slovenia. So, like I've said, we've started thinking not only of those incoming that we know, we started thinking about those that we don't know that are coming to our country, of maybe cultural differences we haven't talked about, how to integrate them well, and we've prepared everything to make it work. The strategy was adapted by our government on the 28th of July 2016. This year we did a revision. We are doing fine. I'm not going to say everything is achieved. We still have work to do, and we still have many things to do in the future. So, these are our tools. We, as Study in Slovenia, work within the initiative Study in Europe. I'm quite sure everybody is familiar with it. They organize fairs around the world. They offer better possibilities for us to attend, to present ourselves. We have established a very useful web page. I welcome you all to have a look at it. We have a very good Facebook group. Even the Study in Europe have complemented it on it. So if you want to see, if nothing else, live webinars. This has been one of the things that has resulted best, especially in the context of the Western Balkans, how to present to neighboring countries, what do we offer, how can they come to us, and what are the benefits of the exchange. We also do a lot on Slovene language. So here you have sreča, so that's happiness. Every now and then on our Facebook group, we have posts in Slovene language. We really we don't want the language to be a barrier. People can learn it. Slovene is a bit difficult, but if you have lots of passion, there is no obstacle. So the University of Ljubljana, they have also a very strong center for Slovene language. They have prepared a wonderful online course. In only 4 months, they have 7,000 users. So the Slovene language is quite popular, as we might say. And at the same time, we want people, the University of Ljubljana, they have already accepted the Year Plus. They're offering for regular students and also for Erasmus students free courses of Slovene language, because they do realize the importance of integration and the basic knowledge of the language for the courses to start. Following them, the University of Primorska started with a Year Plus this year, so it's spreading. I love the virus. This is one virus I really love. Like I've said, we continued with the next ACA project, teaching quality and pedagogical qualification. This was focused on teacher trainings, so we established a group of interested individuals that would like to firstly learn how to prepare learning outcomes, including the international dimension, and then to train them to be trainers. So at the end of the project, we have now a group of trainers that continue their work on their institutions. They do it very well. For example, the University of Primorska have entirely changed their aspect and are doing now internal trainings on learning outcomes and on changing the curricula according to what the students should be learning in this context. And we have started discussing about a holistic internationalization, discussing it with all the participants in this circle. And now I will ask you, do you feel like a banana or an apple? Can somebody click on the video, please? Okay, so did you understand the point of the... The thing is that when you have a full classroom, you have bananas, and you have apples, and you have coconut, especially if you're working in an intercultural context. It's the same thing as us today here, so I might be speaking in English, but it depends on your knowledge of English. How do you understand me? How do you perceive what I'm presenting? And of course, from your background. So this means that we have to address the group that we're having. Internationalization does bring many benefits to our institutions, but at the same time, it may cause problems. So this is one of the results from our second ACA project. You can find it on our YouTube. Of course, the link is in the power presentation. And we also prepared teaching basics for trainers and for teachers for international offices when working with international groups, with international students, how to alert them about these issues. The thing is to make a common ground and to include these people into an active participation. So the basics were set, and now it was time, since we prepared the basics, I mean, we spoke about these things, now we wanted to evaluate impact. And this was quite in handy in 2000. With the beginning of the new Erasmus Plus program, all of the national agencies got the mandate that we should evaluate and monitor how higher education institutions implement the ECHA Charter. So we started this in 2014 with our pilot project, and then in 2016 continued, and we're still doing it today, 10 institutions per year, on-site monitorings, because this gave us an opportunity to discuss with different target groups on-site about internationalizations. Because how we organize these evaluations is we set them a month in advance. Institutions have to send us all of the documentation, and we set target groups. We speak with We speak with management, with rectors, with deans. We speak with international relations offices, with administrative staff, with professors, and with students. And we get a very good feedback on how they understand internationalization. Do they understand internationalization? What could be improved? And how can internationalization become an integral part of their day-to-day functioning? It's not a separate paragraph. By this time, it's an integral part. So you have to merge everything to make things work. I do this exercise. So first of all, what we wanted to give everybody the message is that this is not a monitoring in itself, it's a counseling role we wanted to emphasize. We speak with them, we exchange practices, we get the information from the field, and especially, like I've said, we raise awareness about different forms of internationalizations. They get our feedback, we get their feedback. We talk about it and we discuss it, how to enhance it to a better, more qualitative level. So this is an interesting picture. Gives you a lot to think about. But this was prepared afterwards. So we, as a national agency, discussing with all of the entities, with all the stakeholders about internationalization. But the thing is, it starts with the individual. So the management, the rector, must claim responsibility about the ACA Charter. It's not the responsibility of the international officers to take care about the ACA principles. It's in all of us to make heads and ends meet. In regards to the international office and teacher, who's more important? In this context, nobody's more important. They have both a very important role. International relations offices in a part of integration, of course, administrative part, but the professor must keep in mind that integration is a crucial part. We spoke with the outgoing students that came back. We asked them, so when you came back, did the professor ask you how were the lectures abroad? No, my colleagues did, but professor, mainly not. But this is a very valuable input. You have a student abroad for minimum of 3 months, you have maybe a year. They can give you a different aspect of your study program, of your lecture. It's something we started discussing. It's an ongoing project. In regards to the non-mobile student, in Slovenia we're very open, until the fact that we have to accept different people. And the thing that we all know about Erasmus, they move as a subculture around the world. They form their own mini groups, and they're very happy with them. So we wanted to encourage them to start thinking that with exchange, you grow your network, you're entering the labor market, you will need these connections. So, and etc. We discussed, especially with the learning outcomes, to think about the hidden competences we did with Finland, with their agency. The soft skills. We all know students become more independent, they become more confident, speaking about hidden. This has to be evaluated. Also the employer has to be aware of these things. So these were the things we started thinking about. And the overall outcomes for us have been very important. Like I've already mentioned, the more cooperation. We did manage to put Slovenia on the map. University of Primorska is now thinking about restrictions in regards to incoming students. Also for regular, we have to know, you also have to know how much you can intake. This is also important. We have raised awareness, there's still a lot to do. We have a good overview of implementation practices, we have exchange practices, and I must say we really do have a better, wholesome approach towards internationalization. So this would be all from my side. I have a couple of minutes for questions, and if not, you can always reach me on my email. I'm very happy to answer, and if not, I'll direct it to my colleagues. So Thank you.
Thank you very much. We already have a comment, question?
I think I will be hit by this man if I don't speak in the microphone. And rightly so. I'm fascinated, but I still have questions. You were talking first, I think, of international or internationalized learning outcomes. If you could tell me what that is. Second, you said you trained the teachers, used the word intercultural, and it sounded to me like, you know, how do you teach in an intercultural classroom, well, with Chinese and Latin Americans and I don't know what, and silent Finns or whatever. So I think this is an element of your concept, so to speak. But then you also, I mean, with these learning outcomes, you referred to content being taught. So you, I mean, you are the first one to have overcome what Ulrich Teichler called the most primitive form of knowledge transfer. That's mobility, because the people can't teach their students how it is abroad. They have to go there. And you are now sort of improving on this. Now, I want to, there seem to me various facets of this. Did I get this right?
Okay, so it's a very short presentation, yeah. So, especially on the second part, so much can be elaborated. With the teacher trainings, what we did with them was, first of all, we identified on the field who would be interested in cooperating for the trainings, to train the trainers. And then with the trainers, we have 7 of them now. We went over what they are doing at their institution in the context of internationalized learning out. For example, at the Faculty of Design, they have every year half a semester. They work with the United States and Ireland online. So far, this was it was ongoing. Nobody made a big fuss about it. Now, with the professor, we talked about how to define internationalized learning outcomes. What does it mean, even though it's a virtual experience, but what does it mean for a Slovene student to work on an architectural design with the US student, with an Irish student? How to define those outcomes to give it a better, already at the beginning of the lecture, which is lasting 2 years actually, what will she or he achieve during this, through this cooperation? So in this context, we wanted to speak about internationalized learning outcomes in regards to, for example, preparing, if I go back to architecture, what does it mean to prepare for a contest to be selected to build a building in Slovenia or to build a building in Norway? It's a completely different setting. You have to have different layers in mind. So this was one part we're trying to raise awareness with, because many things are already being implemented. Just words are not there. So we wanted to raise awareness to the people that were already implementing these things, how to specify them, because students will need this when entering to the labor market. The labor market we're working in is already internationalized. Theirs will be even more. So not only to define them, but for the students to keep in mind what are they obtaining through this kind of cooperation. At the same time, for example, with non-mobile students, we wanted to speak with them and the trainers to speak with them. If you have 5 Erasmus students in your classroom, what can you do with them? I mean, first of all, you can talk to them, include them, make them participate. And here we're trying to overcome the barrier of the language because the majority of the bachelor are still in Slovene. So we're trying to get movement there. It's easier if you have a group, of course, working in English. Then everything gets to a different level of cooperation between them. So this is, have I answered your questions?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
thoroughly. And it pretty much links actually to unveiling what is already there, as you said, to what we're going to hear next. But before that, I think Martin also had a comment or a question. Martin, do you want to share with us?
If I may. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you?
Okay, thank you, Petra, for this extremely interesting presentation. I really enjoyed listening to it, and it's really offered food for thought. And I just wanted to mention very, very shortly that these topics are, of course, important for all of us, no matter whether we are partner countries or program countries. Maybe in this is also a little bit of self-criticism. I was focusing too much on mobility issues in my presentation, but you mentioned a lot of topics that are of key importance for us and for our partners in the Western Balkans as well. And I will probably not be able to participate in the part when you will discuss possibilities of future cooperation with our partners, but I think the European Higher Education Area project and the Bologna projects and the peer groups and working groups that are going on the ministry level, but very often other organizations such as national agencies also participate, offer a lot of very, very interesting topics that we who are now sitting in the same room, even virtually, we could work on together. So maybe I would offer or ask you if and the Secretariat as well, if we could collect the topics that we work on, like internationalization at home, and then comes hidden competencies, quality assurance, quality of learning and teaching, because we would like to learn from the partner countries, from the Western Balkans, what they are doing on the field, what we are doing, and we could find some kind of a platform where we could exchange thoughts about that. So if as I said, Skype is not good for discussing in the afternoon, but if you would consider this to talk about the topics and to identify the most important points where we could work on, whether you are national agencies or universities and so on. So yeah, this is what came up while listening to the very interesting presentation of Petra.
Okay, so just a brief reaction from the Secretariat side that we are collecting. So both Irina and I are taking notes and making sure that the most important discussions are recorded. So, and we will then prepare a short report for everyone and circulate it anyhow. So this we will definitely do. I can assure you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and thank you very much for being with us, and also thank you very much for jumping in last minute instead of Martin this morning. Have a good flight.
Thank you.
Not too turbulent.
Yeah, keep my fingers crossed. So thank you everybody for your attention. Like I've said, you can contact me anytime. Nice to see you, everybody, and hope to see you again very soon. Bye.
Bye. While Petra is leaving, just a brief comment. Lunch is very close. We were aware of the risk of a very long session, just to let you know, but what we agreed is that we wanted to relive the student experience, and have a little bit of empathy or reminiscence. So now, in the last part of this session, Petra briefly mentioned, or she mentioned also that that the study from colleagues from Finland on hidden competencies was very inspirational for them in discussing also intercultural competencies. And I think one of the feedback we got from the region and it's not only region related, Western Balkan related, is the links or need for more links between higher education also and the labor market. So I think our colleague Anni Kallio from EDUFI will actually tell us a little bit more about the studies that EDUFI has conducted, and they relate to actually international competencies and also the value of international experience for the working life. So I give the floor to Anni.
Yes, thank you very much, and I'm trying to figure out the technicalities
this works.
here. Yes, so good day for everyone. So my name is Anni Kallio and I come from EduFi, from Finland. And yeah, so I have a lot of slides, so I'm, okay, now this doesn't work. Maybe I just use this one. No? Yes, we do it like that. Okay, okay. Yeah, maybe I come a bit closer to it. Yeah, so, okay. First of all, yeah, I will tell a couple of words about EduFi. So some of you might remember SIMO. So as we used to be SIMO, our organization, but almost 2 years ago we merged with another governmental organization called Finnish National Board of Education. And SIMO, Center for International Mobility, that used to promote internationalization in Finland. So now, together with the other organization, we formed this new organization called EduFi, so Finnish National Agency for Education. And we operate under the Ministry of Culture, Education and Culture. And we have two main tasks, and one is to develop education and training in Finland, especially in school education and VET. Those are the main fields, and also early childhood education. And the other big task is to promote internationalization. Yeah, and like Sini and myself, we used to work at SIMO, so we are the colleagues specializing on internationalization. But now we have plenty of other colleagues at EduFi, so altogether we are 370 colleagues. We are located in Helsinki. And as Sini already mentioned, we also run several programs, such as Erasmus+, so we are the Erasmus+ national agency in Finland. I personally work with Erasmus+. I'm the head of Key Action 1 mobility for higher education, so both intra-European mobility and international credit mobility with partner countries. Yes, so this is easier to do it with the finger. Yeah, so as the scope of this part of today's program, I understood that was to present some of the work that we are doing at our agencies, and like Maria already mentioned, that there was the wish to hear about our studies done at EduFi, or actually at SIMO. So we decided that we would present two of the studies that we have done. One is this hidden competencies, and the other one is new competence for SMEs. But actually now, as the time is very limited, so I decided, although this hidden competencies study is older one, but still I would focus on that because maybe the themes might be more relevant for the preparation of international mobility projects. Yeah. So why we are doing these studies? Yeah. As we are running these funding programs, it is very important for us also to demonstrate the impact of the programs, and in order to find out what is the impact, we also aim at doing studies, and this is also what these two studies are all about. Our agency also does other kind of studies. We produce statistics on international mobility. We used to maybe focus more on credit mobility, so exchange statistics, but in the recent years, we are maybe also dealing a lot with statistics on degree mobility, because the number of mobilities of or of Finnish students going abroad to do full degree, that has been heavily increasing, and also the number of foreign students doing a full degree in Finland has been increasing, but the tuition fees were introduced last year, so now we have experienced a slight decrease, but nothing drastic, at least not at the moment. So for us it is very important to know about the impact of mobility for both individuals and organizations, and also on the working life, because then when we think about the students, first they go on mobility or do some other kind of international activities, but then later on after graduation they will enter the working life, and then that is of course the long-term scope of providing them with the competencies that the international mobility provides. So as a way of using the results of these projects is I know they are used a lot in Finland, but I'm also very happy to notice that also abroad these are taken into consideration and referred to and introduced, and every now and then some of our colleagues is invited to speak about them. So in order to motivate future students, future participants to mobile projects, so it is as we all know, but also it is very important for the students to know that taking international mobility is not just a year off or a year for parties, for travel, but it is definitely for studies and gaining skills that are maybe not there yet. And this is also, of course, an important factor for preparing the funding projects in the future, and this is then producing some background for that as well. So hidden competencies. So as I said, this is an older study. It was already published in Finnish first 5 years ago, and then the next year in English. Actually, this can be downloaded from our website. I will have a link in my presentation. But so just very briefly, something what it was all about. So we did it in cooperation, our that time Simo, with a Finnish think tank called Demos Helsinki. So that was our partnership to do this project, and so the importance, the scope was to investigate the importance of international experience to individuals, of course, but then to the society and working life. And the questions that we have is that what kind of competencies are gained in an international experience, and how would these competencies be valued by employers, and also very interesting to find out whether they are relevant for employers, if they matter at all. And because some years earlier, actually 2005, we have done a smaller study with employers, trying to find out whether the international experience would matter in recruitment, and the results were not very promising. In this graphic, you can see the blue, light and darker blue pillars. They are the employers' answers from 2005 and 2012, when the hidden competency study was made, and actually the relevance of or their regard on international competencies had not increased at all, or maybe had even decreased a little bit. So starting from that, it was it seemed like the international mobility or international experience didn't play much role in recruitment. But provided with the changing society, global megatrends, and the fact that the working life definitely needs global know-how. It was then we went deeper in this 2012-13 survey. So we had a look at when we talk about international competencies, so how they traditionally are understood, it includes language skills, tolerance, cultural knowledge. This is what everybody knew. But in this study, we then asked, okay, the employers, that you are not, you don't value international experience so much in recruitment, but what do you actually see as competencies gained in international experience, and then what are the competencies or skills that are that most value in recruitment process. And when we interlinked these competencies given by the employers, we noticed that they are actually very much the same. Of course, some of the competencies gained from international experience, such as cultural knowledge or language skills, might not be appreciated, maybe not by all employers, even if they maybe should appreciate them, but many other skills were actually very much the same. That's the same as appreciated in recruitment. So through a factor analysis that I have no idea on how it is actually done, I'm not a researcher myself, so that is how we could come into these sort of hidden competencies. So international competencies do not only include language skills, tolerance, cultural knowledge, but they also consist of productivity, curiosity, and resilience. And that being actually the point in the study is that if we are looking about competencies that are meaningful and needed in the labor market, international experience is one way to gain them. It's an indicator for a person that have probably developed these competencies. We are not saying that taking part in international activities, it's the only way to gain the skills that are needed in the labor market, but that is a very good way for a student to increase the competencies that are needed in working life. So, as our study, it's called hidden competencies. So why are they hidden? That's because they were not seen either by the students themselves or by the working life. So they could not link the international experience into the competencies that are needed. And that's why our main message after the survey is that this must be promoted both to the students so that they can articulate their international experience in a better way, and also to working life. But of course, it's easier to start with the students because, for example, higher education institutions, they are very much in touch with their students, but it is far more difficult to then deliver this message to working life. But then if each and every student and graduate is aware of the international competencies that they have gained, then they can individually deliver the message to employers when they are applying for jobs. Now it's 1:30. 2 minutes. So in 2 minutes, I will just very briefly say that after this study, I will, these results were found very interesting in Finland, and not only in higher education institutions and vet institutions that were actually also included in the material of the survey. But one question was that what can we do to help to them to articulate this message? So we produced 3 tools, a little set of tools that could be used, and even if you are interested in having a look at them, you can use them as well. So we have, first of all, we have a little test on Facebook. This is just a fun test with the main idea of raising interest, like making maybe somebody who has maybe no to go further and to really to say what it has made me learn. And the final tool is more for teachers, guidance counselors, international coordinators. It is a set of a slide set of different kind of tasks that can be used in training students on information sessions and workshops. And this is the link still to our old Simo website. We are in the process of getting our new website, so go quick if you want to find it from this link. And please come and ask if you have any questions. You can contact me also afterwards in case of questions. Now I don't have no time for the other. I think we can skip it, but yeah, this is.
Thank you very much. We will also share the presentations.
Yes.
And I mean, thank you for the flexibility. We're trying, given the group we were trying to also play with time a little bit. And so thanks. Sometimes, some people lose, some people gain, but we will definitely share all the presentations. And I think this is highly relevant also, given that I think similar studies were done for other sectors, and then the conclusion was the same, that it is not that the competencies are not there, but that we need to be aware, and they need to be appreciated, of course. And I'm sorry for sounding like a broken record, but I also see there that how alumni actually can really help and support. So alumni who are, especially if we're talking about the region, make the competencies visible, also support, somehow create the space for accepting the competencies that students gain abroad. But again, I'm stopping myself and just asking briefly if anybody has a comment or quick question, or you're too hungry to ask or comment. Bernd does, okay.
Have you now convinced the employer? Because if they don't change their mind.
So what is the employer's?
Have you brought it home to them? I think isn't the main job to make this clear to them?
Yeah, it is, and we are of course doing some activities. And in the second study that I didn't present, there the focus was on well, actually it was turned the other way around. So the competencies of international students and how can they benefit the Finnish SMEs, and yeah. But about delivering the message, we have had some campaigns. We had one after seeing the very nice Slovenian video, I was thinking if I could have a link to our own video that we produced some time ago. But yeah, we have had some, and we are cooperating with the organization of Finnish employers and and also the one for SMEs. But I must say that it is a very challenging task, really, to get any message through to the employers. So one way of thinking about it is to go very step by step and counting on the fact that when year after year more people enter into labor market, even as entrepreneurs, they with this knowledge and with the skills that they would then help also in because it seems that the attitudes in the working life, they are very persistent, very sort of old school, and maybe not so much in favor of everything that has been that we are trying to promote.
They've not been
So if someone has very good solution. We would definitely be interested in doing cooperation.
I think it's not a solution, but I think somehow it's comforting probably to know that many countries are dealing with similar issues, so that
yes.
you're not alone.
I know.
On this note, thank you very much for your resilience and staying and attention is staying with us. So lunch will be served outside. We will have around an hour. So let us try to start getting back at 2:30. So this will be around an hour for the lunch break, and then see you back in this room. Thank you.